thing we're not gonna tolerate on this channel is Ari Lennox hate. So, if y'all don't know, Ari Lennox is trending right now because she wanted to get on her live and give a think piece regarding the show Martin and hinting towards colorism, basically.
The thing that pissed me off about Martin was how much he would go on Pam. Like, I know, like, and this is coming from a girl who I love me a good, like, joking ass movie. And it even when the joking movie is like, damn, like, that was fucked up. Like, you know, I'm not like too woke or something is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm honestly not, I'm problematic. I'm pretty problematic, low key. But my point is that there are some things where I draw the line and it just bothered me. Or like, I don't know, it's like, Pam was so fucking beautiful and so fine. And I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, like, I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam because of the light that I feel like I was being fed. You know what I'm saying? Like, of just like always going on Pam, always, like, that's all I remember. And I didn't like that. But like, so I feel conflicted because while I feel like the show is incredible and I feel like Martin is a legendary show and all of the actors and Tommy and like everybody, like, legendary, amazing. Like, I adore them all. Like, you have no idea. And I adore Martin. Like, I adore him. It just would piss me off. Like the joking on Pam. I just didn't like that, you know, like I'll always kind of feel a way about that.
She was talking about Pam and how Pam was portrayed on the show and how she was always made the butt of the joke. And so a lot of people have just been eating Ari Lennox up and basically bad-mouthing her and telling her to be quiet, trying to run my good sis off the internet and calling her insecure, calling her miserable, calling her everything but a child of God. But I'm here to tell you, colorism in the media happens all the time. And two things can be right at the same time. Yes, Martin is a show that was on air 30 years ago, but also there was hints and tones of colorism.
But let's talk about it. So for those unfamiliar with the show Martin, this was a popular black sitcom in the 90s. So we first have the character Gina. So she was viewed as very kind, calm, and classy, and mainly the mediator of the TV show. And she was also Martin's love interest the entire show. So it's no surprise that a lot of TV shows end up choosing a light-skinned woman to play the love interest. We see this in shows like A Different World, The Cosby Show, My Wife and Kids, Proud Family, even today with the show Blackish. And we can't forget about how Fresh Prince of Bel-Air couldn't keep a dark-skinned woman to continue playing Aunt Viv. But you get the idea. Which brings me to the character Pam. So I'm going to get into a lot of issues with this one. So first, we see Martin playing into the dark-skinned best friend phenomenon that a lot of TV shows do when they cast a dark-skinned woman. We see this with Proud Family, One-on-One, and the dark-skinned best friend is always viewed as undesirable amongst the other guys in the show. You ever notice how Pam always got made fun of by Martin and the other guys in the show? Gina never got made fun of by them. Which brings me to my second issue. Every time a dark-skinned woman is casted for a role, she's always playing the strong, independent black woman. Like Pam. Yes, I know Pam was dating people in the show, but she wasn't a love interest. She was described as the woman who couldn't keep a man. And Martin made fun of her for that many times in the TV show. Now, one thing I will say is that she was characterized as classy. But she did have a fiery sense of personality that Gina did not have. And they normally choose dark-skinned women to play the fiery black girl. The black girl that don't take nobody's shit. And now we have Shanae. So if you really watch the show, you know this is their neighbor, who was played by Martin. But she was characterized as a dark-skinned woman in the show. And she was loud, ghetto, ratchet, very undesirable to everybody in the show, made fun of a lot, bothered everybody, and that's normally what they do when they choose a dark-skinned woman to play a role. And it's not by accident either. Many dark-skinned actresses have come out saying the only roles that are offered to them are ones where they're playing the loud, ghetto, ratchet girl, or the prostitute, or stripper, or strong, independent black woman. It's almost never to be the classy, acceptable black person that they normally choose a light-skinned person to play. Now, this is no hate to the show because I did love it growing up. But it's important for us to recognize this. And for those who are about to say, oh, you can't enjoy anything these days, why can't you just enjoy the show? You guys don't say that when white people do racist stuff in their TV shows, right? When white people do racist stuff, you're quick to speak up about it. So why are you silent when the black community is doing damage to their own community with colorism? Ask yourself that question and understand that way of thinking is literally the root of the problem and why it has gotten nowhere.
Look at Shanae, dark-skinned black woman, right, who was loud, ghetto, all these negative stereotypes. Pam was always made the butt of the joke. She was always the punchline. Martin would say she had BDBs, joking about the texture of her hair, basically saying she had nappy hair on the nape of her neck. You know, so yes, you can laugh. Martin was a show, was a time back in the 90s with babes. That doesn't change the fact that there was colorism, you know, taking place on the show, how it portrayed the characters, right? And so what is colorism? Colorism is when you basically prefer one skin tone over the other. Like if a lot of men prefer lighter skinned black women over darker skinned black women. And so this is something that's rooted in white supremacy, in going back into the slavery where we had darker skinned black people working out in the fields and you had the lighter skinned black people working in the house. So field slave versus house slave type of mentality.
This is a great question. And yes, there is a historic fact to the idea that enslaved people who were lighter skinned and lived in the house with the slaveholder were often treated better than those enslaved people who were darker skinned and who worked in the fields. And there are many reasons why. One of the reasons that they were even able to live in the house was because they were actually the children of the enslaver or the men in that enslaver's family. So they were family. And you'll find in a lot of journals that were kept by enslavers, and even in history books, they will refer to their families as their inside and their outside families. Because even if they brought in lighter skinned children, they even had some darker skinned children that were working in the fields and that were living with their darker skinned families. So we got to get rid of that misnomer that all biracial people have light skin, long hair, extremely curly hair. Sometimes they have tightly coiled hair, darker brown skin, and brown eyes. We also have to get rid of that misnomer that lighter-skinned people who were the children of enslavers had such a better life. As a matter of fact, it was one of the number one reasons that you would be sold away from your mother and the rest of your family. It was because it was a constant reminder to the slaveholder's wife that he had been assaulting the enslaved women on the plantation. And it was an embarrassment to her to see his children, who looked sometimes more like him than her children. Also remember, particularly for wealthy slaveholders, that when they had family to come visit them from abroad, from England or from France, during the colonial times, they didn't come for just a couple of weeks. They would come and stay for months and months. So for an enslaved, lighter-skinned woman living in that home, it gave those men easy access to her. And it was a very dangerous situation to be in. But one of the most dangerous and divisive things that has come out of slavery ideology is the upholding of the European standard of beauty. Irrespective of the fact that enslavers continued to have children with darker skinned enslaved women, because of their praise of lighter skinned black women and black men, it caused division within the African American community that we even see evident today, that is described as colorism.
Right? And so it was seen like a lot of the house slaves were given favoritism, and I say favoritism with quotes because we know what was happening to the slaves that had to work in the house or in the big house, right? So in today's world, in the media, a lot of times lighter skinned black women are seen as more desirable when it comes to darker skinned black women, and this beauty standard is reinforced throughout the media through television shows like Martin, The Proud Family. You saw how they portrayed Dejanay, the dark-skinned black character cartoon on the show. What other television shows, like music videos or music songs? I know like the video vixens in the early 2000s were always usually lighter skinned or biracial. We see with the Instagram baddies, the spicy Latinas, the biracials are usually the ones that are hooking up with the athletes, right? So we see this time and time again, like, you know, as far as like in music, how the rappers talk about how they want a red bone or a light-skinned woman or something of the sort, right? Or who said it? It was Lil Wayne, I think, who said that dark-skinned woman, she looked better. I bet she looked better red or something along those lines. I'm butchering the lyrics, but y'all get what I'm saying. So I'm saying two things can be true at once when people were eating her up on Twitter. Yes, Martin is a show that has not been really on the air in like 30 years, or haven't had a new episode in like 30 years. But also there was hints and tones of colorism. And yes, we are a lot more aware when it comes to colorism in the media, because 30 years ago when Martin was on the air, I'm pretty sure not as many people were socially aware or self-aware of colorism or what was happening. I'm sure there were people that was woke back then, but I'm pretty sure there's more people in 2025 than in 1995 that was more aware. And so since all of this, we have some good, right? In the sense of like, we've had people that came out and spoke about and praising dark skin beauty, such as I am not my hair. Oh, that's texturism, India Ari. But basically also speaking to the texturism, because we not only have colorism, we have texturism, which talks about this texture of the hair, because we know a lot of people's preference is looser, curly, coiled hair, like that 3B, 3C textured hair. Featureism, when you have Eurocentric features, smaller nose, smaller lips, you know, all of the isms really that just take place, that's all rooted in white supremacy from slavery. And all of this is still affecting us to this day. It even affects like family dynamics, because we just talked about Jackie Christie and her daughters, and we know like it came out a couple of years ago that Jackie Christie had an issue or had issues with her darker skinned daughter, and she favored the lighter skinned daughter. So colorism plays an effect in a lot of people's lives, right? And it also can have a psychological impact on people who are viewing these television shows or listening to these music, right? A lot of these guys who look up to these rappers, when they talk about having a light-skinned baddie or whatever the case may be, or a Latina or a biracial chick or something along those lines, they often sought or aspired to have the same thing. It can also make some people feel less valuable, like, you know, being like a darker skinned person. Like, these are some of the psychological impacts that this can have on someone, as far as like these sort of beauty standards being pushed into the limelight or into the media. But anyways, y'all, I just wanted to get on here and talk about this, because I could not believe that a lot of people was really like being so negative towards Ari Lennox just because she gave an opinion on something that is true, you know, and a lot of people are calling her miserable for it. But what we not gonna have over here, y'all, is Ari Lennox hate, okay? We're not going to tolerate that. We're not going to tolerate my good sis having any sort of hate. So I do want to know what you guys' thoughts are on this. I know I kind of like went on a little bit of and beyond the Martin subject and Ari Lennox. But I mean, it's true. Colorism is in the media. It's on social media. It's in traditional media. We see, you know, just going in on the girls of today, like the social media influencers today, how a lot of them, the lighter skinned biracial girls, have more of a larger following or than like a lot of the darker skinned girls. Like, yes, we know the Jackianas, right? But not to like single anyone out in regards to this, but like the Aaliyah Faces, the Kyra Amaniques, all of them, like they have a really large social media following. And they get a lot of great big brand deals and stuff like that in comparison to, but I mean, now we see Clark, you know, love Clark over here. If y'all don't know who Clark is, like, she's really on TikTok. I'm not sure if she's on YouTube, but I mean, we do see more dark skin representation portrayed in a more better light than what we've seen in the 90s, and not being portrayed as the butt of the joke. We are seeing a lot more improvement because we are more self-aware of what colorism is and how it can have a negative psychological impact on people and in their lives, and how it is a big deal. But anyways, you guys, let me know what you guys' thoughts are on this subject matter down below. My name is Brittany Janae. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.